But I believe in this so passionately that if we talk about it too much, I'll probably get emotional because I know it's at stake, right? It's eternal things. It's the necessity in our market and our industry and our community to care about people and love on people and be there for them and treat them as freaking human beings and understand their troubles and the mountains in their life and help them move it.
Yeah, I was going to stop you and make a joke because it would have been funny to say like, and if you cry, I'm going to clip it and put it at the beginning. But then I saw you actually get passionate. I was like, nope, not stopping that one down.
Every single individual has a story to tell, and they're great stories that need to be heard.
I want every listener to know they have the ability to change the world.
Welcome to the 1720 Podcast.
What's up, Mountain Movers? Welcome back to the 1720 Podcast. Stewie's a stone cold killer for the first time in our solo history. Just nothing. He knew I was going to say something, but I'm still saying something.
Right. I tried this last 300 or 400 episodes in a row, and you make a comment about what we do when we start recording. I did nothing this time.
Zero.
We're still calling it talking about it.
It's a bit.
It is a bit.
Every bit has a season. This one is about to run out.
Yeah, I think we've reached the max Stewie leans away from the mic season, but it's neither here nor there. Okay, so a couple of announcements. You want to go, or you want me to announce? I can announce. There's things.
Yeah, hit
we
the
should
first
talk
one.
about things.
Let's talk about the things.
Mountain Mover Manual. If you haven't heard, it's on Audible. So go check that out. It's obviously Kevin's book. We've posted about it, all this, etc. But just a reminder, go check that out. And the Kevin narrates it. I do a little bit of the reflections on the side. It's posted, available, user credit. Go check it out. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and thanks again for adding that flair to the end. And the point of that and the drums was just to bring the 1720 vibe and some personality to it, but also snap back those people that get distracted because you're in your commute, you start getting in your thoughts. And what's funny is I've had a few people reach out and say it helped exactly that, but then me listening back to it, I would start drifting and then and I'm like, oh, it's reflection time.
Oh, hey,
like,
yeah,
it worked. First-handed on me, it worked. So
there you go.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, that was your idea, and I'm glad we looped it in and kind of gave it some 1720 flair. So burn a credit, check it out, listen to it on the way to work or whatever. It's a good listen, man.
For sure. And then this week, we have Builder 2.0 Workshop. So that's a collaboration between Keon Zandy, Joe Donnarummo, and myself. It's combining the Lean Builder with Mountain Movers. And so the vision is really working on the whole person, but then also bringing and bridging the construction industry with it. So a lot to do with construction and project specific. And then, the stuff I'm bringing to the table, working on the person and just trying to combine the two. And we've been rehearsing it and we are fully leaned in to try and make this as impactful as possible for everybody that attends. And so if it isn't sold out by now, you can access it through Texo Association. I think we're maxed out at 50, and when we're recording, it was starting to trend that way. So week of, I don't know if there's still seats available, but if there's not, maybe catch us next time.
Can I give you did this to me every once in a while. What we need to post as the picture for this episode is the mock-up of the Lean Builder promo with you with like Travis Tritt hair, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, because I saw in the Lean Builder, Keon's camp put this awesome picture together, and as a joke, it's Baldy Keon with luscious locks, and then Baldy with Joe, and it's like, oh, cool. Like I look like I just picked a booger with my finger in there in a keynote or something. Then he looks like blue steel with that like model look. and so Keon's reply was doctoring up Joe and I's hair with some luscious locks ourselves. So I'll commit to, we can make it a follow up to the post, but I think for this week, we probably got some other things to post that might trump it.
Trumpet is a like that's, you didn't mean actual trumpet, but it's funny. Okay, so
yeah, some space there. We talked about some words that need spaces between letters.
Yeah, you need space
there.
It might trump it. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's get into it, man. So big topic for today, and it really sort of, I think, generally starts. You tell me if you want to go a different direction, but it sort of generally starts around the idea of what have you been up to for the last year, Kev? But let me kick it to you, and then I can add some color on top of it as we navigate through that. So,
Yeah, I mean, overall, looking back, this past year has been an absolute blessing. So, on the glazing sideline for a year, and before that year started, a lot of anxiety over that, but like belief in what could come in the future. But now looking back at this past year and all the things that I got to do, and the impact made and the purpose fulfilled, it's just awesome. I am so thankful for this year because, I mean, you name it, man. There's a list of things, and feel free to interject at any time. But let me start with closeness with the Lord. You know, that's been a huge thing. Closeness with my family, more time to hang out, more time to bring my daughter to school and pick her up that construction sometimes doesn't allow, more time to work with people with one-on-one coaching and really just unlock some things in them. And you know, something that we'll probably get into a little deeper is just the deep work on self. Yeah. Like, you know, we got goals, purpose, all that's check. But like, where am I broken? Where are some areas of weakness? And how can I do this deep work to come out of the other side of this 1 year on the sidelines a better person?
Yeah, there's a thousand different sayings about the seasons of life and how there's a season for everything, but it has been like super cool to see this season for you, right? Because it is all those things you just said. Joy, I will add in there, right? Like there are definitely stresses of life and stresses of the side hustle or the writing the book or all the things, right? They all have their own individual, unique stresses, but it's been a season of like Kevin's full of joy, you know? And so that's been fun to see too, just from my perspective, from my vantage point, while you're working on yourself and others and the industry and all these things. And so it's a great opportunity if you can frame it like that, afforded to you to like have those opportunities and moments that, you know, sometimes people don't have when they have situations like this.
Yeah. Hot take, just thinking about it as you're talking about it. That season of life is almost like the mountains in our life, right? That have to be moved. At this point in my life, those deepest valleys, those mountains that are in the introduction of the book, not only am I through them, I'm thankful for them, genuinely. Yeah. I'm happy it happened because I get it now. Like, I'm not holding I didn't just get fixed and then held it to myself. You know, I'm out there sharing with whoever needs to hear it so they can move the mountains in their life. So I am, not only was I put on these sidelines, you know, equating that to this past year, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful it allowed me to become a better human being, you know, all the way around.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask some questions there because as we walk through some of the stuff on the prep sheet, there's a few things I want to dig in on a little bit. This idea of deep work, right? You hear that a lot, but it oftentimes comes in the context of the tasks at your work, right? I was able to really focus on cash projections, man. I blocked it all out. I had a lot of deep work, right? But that's not the deep work you're talking about, right? You're talking about personal deep work. And so say more about that, just so we're all oriented in the right space and people can kind of hear what's been going on there.
Yeah, it was one of those challenges as I was coaching folks. So I had like 11 people I was coaching, and working on them made me work on myself more because I'm hearing some of the struggles and some of the triumphs and all the things. It just made me look in the mirror, and it's like, okay, what is an area of weakness in your life? Mm-hmm. And so I was really aimed at like mindset. Where does my mind go? So the first thing was being present. And so that was the first focus. So I had just one singular thing. How am I going to be more present to help me sleep better, to help my thoughts? And I really equated it to, am I watching the movie of my days or am I writing the script? Yeah. So who's in the driver's seat there? And trying to paraphrase here, what I ended up finding out is not just the past and the future that I get hung up in, but fantasy land. Fantasy land meaning things that'll never happen, that are rooted in anger. Like, I'm going to fight this person or I'm going to have this fake argument. It's like, why do I keep going there? Mm-hmm. And so like you have being present that now, why am I wrestling with anger? And so I had statements to come up with to when I would see them to offset it. So if I'd get angry, I'd say, what's the big deal? If I wasn't present, I would say, what's my next thought? Mm-hmm. And then it turned into several other things that just were all built on each other. And man, in a business startup mode, when that grind is heavy, there's no chance I have that luxury to be working on those things. But boy, I'm better equipped now for a startup now that I've worked on it.
Man, that's a good acknowledgement that it's when you're in the middle of everything, and this is maybe me just making an excuse for somebody or something, is just like when you in the middle of it all, it feels like it's difficult to stop down and have those thoughts and have those because those ideas seem ethereal or sort of like metaphysically down the road. So like, I don't know, I'll figure that out. But right now I'm just gonna be mad and I'm gonna move on. You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to having the margin to like think the thoughts that you forced yourself to have is like, what's the big deal? Like, why am I mad about this? Like, stop being like that sort of like fixing it. Which takes me back to another thing we talk about all the time, which is if you're always being reactive, like you're never going to fix the problem. You're going to have to find margin, even if you're not afforded the time opportunity to have long periods of deep work. You're going to have to find the margin to lean in, even if they're like little micro deep work. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense at all, but you know what I'm saying? Like just taking ground slowly, but surely on some of these things. And, you know, honestly, like, you know, I'm all in or all out. So oftentimes I'm like, I'll just do it later, but you've got to find, no. I'm not going to let that continue to root. Tomorrow, it'll just be a little bit less. Tomorrow, it'll be just a little bit less. So two things. One is, you know, that work is necessary. But two, the other thing is, if you're not afforded the time luxury or the time opportunity, make little tiny steps forward along these ideas that need your deep thoughts to fix.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. It's more work before it's less, right?
Yeah.
Because you're still doing all of those things and you're adding deep work and you're working through that self-reflection. You're trying to discipline your mind. You're trying to make pre-decisions. Over time, hopefully you look back and say, oh, wow, it worked. You're going to have that light bulb moment, but that takes some work. It takes some work and some consistency and some discipline, but it's not easy street. You got to work hard at it.
Yeah. Well, so in the last, year, there's been a lot of plates up and spinning, right? Like we kind of walked through all of those. I'm assuming you're writing another book. We talked about that this morning.
Absolutely not. Mark it, whatever time this is right now. Nope.
Timestamp that. Well, when you write it again, it'll be funny that you said you weren't. But but as you we'll get to it in a second. But as you lean into like this next season for Kevin, what of those plates keep spinning, right? Because it just seems implausible that all of them can keep going. It's too much. But so before we get to what's next, what keeps spinning? Like what's still going to stay in the plates of Kevin's life?
Yeah, I kind of had a wish list of all the things I wanted to accomplish in this year on the sidelines. And what's funny is one was right up against the wall with the Audible version of the book, but this book was a huge part of that. And getting the book out, publishing it, getting the paperback, getting the Kindle, getting the Audible, and just out in the atmosphere. And so that's something that can, now that it's done, it's just marketing, just keeping that plate on the stick. Coaching is going to completely fall off because, as we're about to talk about in a minute, it's going to be direct coaching. It's going to be leading teams.
Yeah.
Keynotes and workshops as they come up, and they fit in a calendar and they make sense for the purpose and they make sense for the industry, I'll entertain them. So it's really been a launch pad of just getting that going, feeding the purpose, getting the purpose out there of the Mountain Mover brand and the movement and everything. And we'll see where it goes. But definitely coaching's fallen off from that and probably very selective on workshops.
Okay, so you gave me the perfect foray into the idea of what's next because you said the coaching becomes more direct. And so in grand LeBron James fashion, what's next? Where are you taking your talents, Kevin Carey? Do you remember that bit with LeBron taking my talents to South Beach?
I do. Yeah, now we're going to get all those LeBron James gifts from the crowd and the listeners and all that. But man, I'm honored to talk about Mountain Mover Facades. Huge shocker, that's the name of the company. And it is a glass and glazing company. So I'm going back to my love. I'm going back to something that I know and that I've been in for a long time. But why I'm going into it is much more different and much more special than what I do. What I do, it's just, that happens to be the silo of talent that I have.
Right.
But now I see it as the vehicle to impact. And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. And I'll tell you, I was wrestling with if I would ever do that again. And for another discussion at another time, it was one of those, it's just the vehicle and it's the quickest vehicle we have to achieve a purpose that's absolutely needed in construction and in our community.
Yeah, I mean, not to diminish the trade because it is complicated and it is tricky and it is your special talent, but it's just the widget. It's just the methods, the means, and so not to devalue it because it is tricky, complicated, highly technical, labor, all of the things. But it's just a widget to make impact across our industry and in all those people's lives. And so, we've said that 100 times. It just comes back to fruition here as you launch Mountain Mover Facades.
Yeah, and I'll lean into that just for a second before we go into some of the meat of the company, but it is a glass and glazing company headquartered in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're going to have a manufacturing facility here in DFW doing all the things for commercial buildings. But man, we're chasing relationships, and we're chasing relationships that we can trust, and we're chasing what we call the PVC. And so the PVC for us is our purpose, our vision, and core values. And that's the drum that we're beating every single day. And you can really think about from a manual standpoint, like the Mountain Mover manual is going to be our manual. And so it will be the catalog of 1720. Like all the things that we're talking about and writing about, we're about to walk the talk collectively over at Mountain Mover Facades.
Right. You're going to have, we've said this forever, but a large catalog of accountability of all the things that we want for the industry. We're striving to reach. We're working on ourselves. Like, there it is, man. It's all out there. And when it all comes to fruition, I mean, this is it.
Yeah. And it could have been easy to stay in my season of comfort, but I think God has bigger plans. And I think I have to be more boots on the ground in order to make a direct impact and force multiply that impact, because I have glimpses of it. I have glimpses of light in the dark with people going through struggles and then finding out that we care about them and changing people for the better and unlocking their weirdness and those awesome stories that are in the book. Like, it's time to magnify those. And you know how big I am on walking the talk. Like I love all the coaching and stuff, but there's nothing better than sword on the battlefield with your teammates. Nothing better.
It's over this year we've talked about that in and out, right? Do you miss the battlefield? And I think the answer maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the answer at first was like a little muted, but it wasn't maybe 2 months in you were like, I miss this. You know what I mean? It's definitely among other things that are in your DNA. The battlefield's in your DNA, man. So,
I love it. I love every part about it. But, now looking back again, that deep work is just going to make me and hopefully the purpose that much bigger and that much stronger to get ready for this next phase. Because we did a lot right in the past, but, we also got some things wrong that we're going to hopefully correct and be better on. And, it all ties back to the PVC now. And that's our, even though we're not a plumbing contractor, you'll see back there, I got a little PVC pipe to just remember. It's going to be in the forefront of everybody's brain, homepage of the website. It's going to be everywhere, man. Everywhere.
Yeah. I got a lot of questions. Let's see. Let's go with who, right? Like, as you said, among other things, your coaching turns more direct, right? And it's a group of folks that are coming along for this ride that, I'll just shut up and let you pitch the team, man, because it's a group of rock stars who are headed on this journey with you. Give them a prop up here, man.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor and privilege to know these guys and know their hearts and know they're bought into the PVC from day one, because that takes years of finding and discovery. You think you found the right person, and then after a couple of years, you're like, oh man, they're only looking out for themselves, all that sort of stuff. But I've seen the beauty of this team bonded together, caring about a common cause. Again, not just focused on the scoreboard or the widget, but something bigger and standing for something bigger. So I already know that buy-in. And so day one, you got Dylan Turner, who's going to be vice president of pre-construction. You got Roger Cantrell, that's going to be general manager over the shop and field. You have Jeff Kramer, that's going to be a VP of operations. So he's going to oversee everything post-contract, handoff from Dylan. And then you got Simon Toole, who's going to be a senior estimator in the pre-con department. And it's fun, man. We got together to shoot a little hype video that you haven't had a chance to see yet. And the moment the five of us were in the room together, just picked up right where we left off of just super, super weird and just fun and laughing and just all the things.
I thought you were going to say super, super fun, which you came to it, but you led with weird, which got like real laughter because I wasn't expecting super, super weird. But as you were going through the list there with those guys, who are super guys, by the way, I was thinking, I think I have a GIF or GIF or however you say it of all of them doing crazy things. Maybe not Simon, but like or photos or some crazy something from these guys of different times and bumping into them with stuff like this. And so, yeah, well, maybe weird was the right way to lead out.
So for that video shoot day, I was having a meeting with somebody, and that somebody's probably listening. And then all of a sudden we heard like a bunch of different car horns beeping. And that person goes, what the heck's going on out there? And I'm like, my people have arrived. Like I didn't even need to look out the window.
Oh man. Yeah, they just show up and start honking their horns and yeah.
Yeah. They don't need me to activate their weirdness. They're already activated, you know? And I want to make sure we do the PVC justice because we're talking about the C portion. Yeah, but you got to have all three of them together, right? So the P is the purpose, and it's the sun of the solar system, right? You know, from the book, and it's building an army of mountain movers one person at a time. And that's the endless, right? The ing in building means we're always after that next person. You're never there with that purpose. We're always striving to be better and reach the next person because you don't know how much that person needed it or who else that person's going to impact. And so the purpose is huge. Our vision is to use facades as the vehicle to radically impact the lives of the people in our company, industry, and community. And we take that serious. And that's a huge part of our daily walk. And it'll be a huge part of our meetings and a huge part of our hiring process. And we'll turn back and look back at it and make corrections from it and improve from it. And so that vision is going to be central to all things.
Let me stop down there because there's two things you said, one of which I've never heard before, but you said building, the ing makes it endless. Like you're always moving forward. When you said I knew exactly what you meant, and all the times we've talked about this, like that turn of phrase I'd never heard you use, but that's awesome, right? Like the ing makes it endless is awesome. And the other thing I want to ask is like, have you guys thought through or have you put together any sorts of KPIs around tracking how you're doing these things, or is that still WIP?
Great question. That's work in progress because we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Which is a funny thing tied to the purpose too. Let's pin that for a second. But yeah, all this is going to be created, but you better believe when it comes to scoreboard. So, you know, if we're talking points, we're talking financials, right? And people's compensation, they're tied to the PVC. Absolutely. Yeah. Every single position for the company, number one role to be a positive contributor to the PVC. There's going to be, it'll be a huge part, you know, and I don't reach for the stars. Like bonuses aren't these 20 light switches, all that sort of stuff. It'll essentially be do your job and adhere and advance the PVC. It's going to be very cut and dry, but the PVC is going to be a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Well, and there's a million different ways to do these, but at the end of the day, you know, if you turn back to these things, you can pretty quickly analyze, like, how's that person doing as weighed or measured against this standard? I don't need 20 switches to figure that out. We can all sit in the room and say, yeah, you're doing a great job.
That's right.
I know off the top of my head because we are constantly communicating and constantly accountable around this issue. I know what you did this year around these things and pushing these things forward. I remember that time when so-and-so did such and such and you whatever, like you'll remember them because these aren't like KPIs around how many emails you sent, right? I don't know that because it's not important. These are going to be KPIs. I'm using KPI in a multifaceted sense there, one of which doesn't make any sense, but like they're real, tangible, memorable, radically life-changing moments that are measured against this. It's not that hard to remember.
Yeah. And if we're focused on these things, the byproduct are the points on the board. So I'm not saying financials aren't important. They're super important. They're just not the sun of the solar system. They're not everything. It's a planet. It has its place. And we will go get what's ours if we focus on what's right. And focus on what's right, not for that outcome, but for the purpose. If you're tracking me, like our heart needs to be into this, not this is just a ploy in order to get money. No, the currency is impact and financial gain is the byproduct.
Man, if you're listening, like stop for just a second and think that through, because 99 times out of 100, that sentence goes the other way. We need to make money so that we can impact people's lives.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the value proposition you just put out there is it's the inverted proposition. It is, we're going to impact people's lives. And because we're doing that, we're going to make some money, which we can then use to impact people's lives. Like it's not the other way around. And it's a different way to do business. It is definitely a different way to do business.
This is why we're standing here. And I don't want to look in the rearview mirror. I want to look forward on this, but I believe in this so passionately that if we talk about it too much, I'll probably get emotional, because I know what's at stake, right? It's eternal things. It's the necessity in our market and our industry and our community to care about people and love on people and be there for them and treat them as freaking human beings and understand their troubles and the mountains in their life and help them move it. Like this is it. Glazing's the vehicle.
Yeah, I was going to stop you and make a joke because it would have been funny to say like, and if you cry, I'm going to clip it and put it at the beginning. But then I saw you actually get passionate. I was like, nope, not stopping that one down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's something Bradley said last week when I was listening back was the idea about like walking past people and not saying hello. How many times? Like, no, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. And just changing. Anyway, we're kind of harping on the same thing. And I was saying I'm adding nothing except rephrasing it. But yes, sign me up for that, man. Sign me up for that. Let's do that.
Yeah, and like I guess a way to KPI that, like, because those are grand, right? Your purpose is grand.
Yeah.
And it's hard to measure that without some things, right? And sure. Vision, that's kind of like that's our identity, but our core values are almost like KPIs to that. Are we adhering to these 5 things? So the core values are DNA.
Let me guess. One of them is be weird.
You better believe it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, and that just proves, and you're not serving up questions like you haven't seen the hype video because it's not live yet. Yeah, no. But the talking about that, and Simon slotted to do the be weird core values because he's the perfect person for it. And so before I go on to what that one means, like core values, just like scripture in the Bible, you can't just single one out and that be the end all be all, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like we can't be a bunch of weirdos that get nothing done, because then it's going to be a failure, right? Mm-hmm. So this is one of the core values. It's a very important one, but all 5 of them are important. So be weird is one. Non-negotiable effort, relentlessly consistent, unwavering faith, and completely devoted. Now, if you package those 5 together, we're living out the purpose and the vision. You know what I mean? Like, so like that's going to be the evaluation from day in, day out, looking at those core values in the mirror. Like, am I being my unique self? Am I giving my best effort? Is this effort and living out the purpose and vision consistent? Am I believing in things that I may not be able to see today with faith? Because faith isn't just, by definition, that's the definition of it. We have a godly perspective to it, but it's faith in each other. Faith in the vision, faith in the purpose, faith in the divisions, faith in the community, like all of the things. And then completely devoted, that's our one, devoted to safety. We're completely devoted to getting our people home the same way they came every day or better, right? Yeah. Like that's the basement.
Man, it's safety sometimes takes a back seat. Safety sometimes isn't at the table, but safety is one of your 5 here. Being completely devoted to sending those people home safely every day. Massive. People don't really appreciate, and I think we talked about this with Joe the other day, how complicated what you specifically, this trade is doing, how dangerous it is, and how if you're not completely devoted to getting those guys, men and women home safely every day, you're not doing it right. Because at the end of the day, it's just a job. They have a family, and they're trying to care for them and all the things. So kudos to you to dropping that one in there, man, because it's huge.
Team effort, right? What was important for me was the 5 of us collectively looking at this and like what's important, and let's come up with these. I wanted this to be a group thing, and so that was a collective deal. Like certain people are more passionate about some than others. And you're not going to score an A+ on the report card every single quarter, right? For all 5 of these, but we just need to make sure all 5 of them are at the forefront. And it's just like any other habit. with some consistency, effort, and discipline, they will become second nature. It's absolute fact. They need to become second nature for anybody that we're serving, anybody that's working here or going to work here. And so these are the closest things that we have to KPIs today, because if we're interviewing, you best believe we're going to tell you exactly who we are and exactly how important this is, because if it rubs you the wrong way, we don't want you to join the team, because let's save each other some time. Like, if you don't want to be your true self or put in consistent effort, you want to kick your feet up every day and just have fun, this probably isn't the place for you. If you want to have fun and work hard doing it and be there for each other and believe in something bigger than yourself, this is the place for you.
Yeah. Are you taking applications for lawyers?
If I grew that big that fast, I'd have to slow down.
The point is, man, like, you're going to paint a vision for people who are like, how do I leave where I am to come do this? So get your HR team ready, because this is not your usual operation of like how this is all going to go down. It's going to be amazing, man.
Thank you. And the funny thing is, in startup mode, you're like, okay, I'll just shift my hat 5 degrees. What position do you need now? Janitor? Got it.
Oh, you're looking for HR? Yeah, he's here.
I just spin my chair once.
You should get, you should get like 5 or 6 different hats.
I had that as a bill on all 4 sides.
That's funny too. I was just thinking, well, but that's all the same hat. But
we could have different departments.
The euphemism, or not euphemism, the way people you're wearing different hats, right? So you have to have like, and then have like an HR hat that you put on. I'm getting you those. I'm getting these for you. This is a great idea. I may actually cut this out. I don't want people stealing it. Don't steal my ideas. That's a great idea.
It's copyrighted already. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer, copyrighted. Don't steal it.
Hey, since we're in the ditch, my surgeon, he got a call and he's like, this might be an emergency. I have to take it, while I was in the post-op room with him. And they hung up on him on speaker. And he said, did you see that? If you from now on, from a no caller ID call, say Dr. Carey, they're not going to mess with you. If it's any robocall, they will not try to pitch you. Just slap doctor to the front of your name. I'm like, yeah, because if I said construction man Kevin, they're going to be like, we got a live one. Whole department, get on the phone.
Everybody's joning around here. Okay, well, now we all know how to get off of those lists.
You're all doctors. Welcome. You're all ordained as doctors. Yes.
Yes. Well, for the limited purposes of getting off of robocalls. I don't want to get this too far in the ditch.
Yeah, right. Too late.
Too late. All right, so what else do we need to hit here, man? I know there's a lot of things moving, a lot of parts moving. What else do we need to hit around Mountain Mover Facades?
Just the website, I guess, mountainmoverfacades.com. That'll be the host of a lot of the things that we're talking about, or is the host. And just excited for the journey. And I know like that sounds pretty cliche, but boy, do I mean it. Let's just talk about today, for example, and you already know what happened today, but major God moment. And because there's nothing guaranteed in a startup whatsoever. It doesn't matter how amazing the team is. It doesn't matter how amazing the PVC is. Like, it doesn't matter. Nothing's guaranteed, and there are things outside of our control and conditions like the market, and you name it. But the day of this recording, when things are getting very serious, I'm on the elliptical warming up for the day as usual, and I have my Bible app, and it's a devotional, and I open the devotional before I read the chapter. And so I'm reading this is the Bible for dummies. I love that part in these Bible plans. And so I'm reading in layman's terms, and all of a sudden mustard seed gets named, and it's kind of like the war drums in the audio book. I'm like, wait a minute. I snap like closer attention. I'm like, don't tell me they're talking about Matthew 17:20. I just got the chills just thinking that. So click the next, and the chapter for the day was Matthew 17.
Yeah.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
So this morning when you texted me, I wasn't awake. That's okay. My phone vibrated, and I reached over because I was like twilight awake, right? I reached over and grabbed it, pulled it over, and the message says, "Of course, this is today's reading." Right now, I click on it, and I'm like, just like waking up, and I was like, "Oh." And my instant, I think it is, "Get out of here."
Yeah, right.
Are you serious?
You teed this up, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%. And that's man, if you're looking for a God moment, that might be one. Just crazy, man.
A dude in my life group, he likes to refer to it as like, man, when I'm in obedience, I just feel God winking at me. And so like I'm going to start stealing that from my buddy Sean. Like I think that's just him winking at me saying, "You're right where you're supposed to be today." Like,
Yeah.
Not even an attaboy, but just like have comfort in the fact that you're where you're supposed to be and you're living the purpose out that I've called you to do. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to have that because, man, it's going to be a roller coaster.
Yeah. Well, and it's good to have it. It's not cool. It's more than cool, right? It's way more than pretty cool. That's like, it's way more than pretty cool. It's an amazing moment to have for today. And it's also going to be an amazing moment to reflect on when that what's the worst part? Going down? I don't know. Whatever the crappiest part of the roller coaster is. Yeah.
When it gets stuck on the click, 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 and you're looking down.
Yeah. When you're upside down on a loop-de-loo, you're going to remember today and be like, no, I remember this is okay. This is part of the ride, man.
Well, and the beauty of this friendship and this podcast is maybe I don't remember, but you will. You know?
Touche, man.
And you'll be able to, when I'm going through it, be like, hey, bro, remember this
text? Yeah. Remember this text? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Man, I'm excited.
You thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, right. Hey, why don't you go back and listen to episode 150 whatever at 32 minutes and remember that? How about that?
Yeah. I'm laughing because it's absolutely going to happen.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Man, I'm super excited for you guys. I'm super excited for you guys. It's going to be an amazing journey, a super fun ride with the dudes that are just solid. And you guys are going to have a blast doing it. So I'm excited about reflecting on this in a year and seeing where you are and thinking back through all the impact that you guys have had and all the challenges and sharing some of those ideas, through the process of all of them. It's going to be a fun ride for me as your buddy, for listeners to kind of hear as it's processing, and for all the people and lives and families and communities you guys impact along the way. It's just going to be something special. I'm looking forward to just being on the sideline and watching it, man.
Appreciate it, brother. It's going to be awesome, man.
All right. Well, that's it for today, unless you got some other great announcement. You got any other big announcements?
No. Fresh out. Right. That's what I got.
All right, man. Well, we'll catch up with you guys next week. And until then, y'all stay out there and keep moving mountains.